We're here 2 days before archery season starts for elk. So here in Colorado. So there, got that one. and we know we're not looking for giants here today, guys. This is an opportunity trip. So I've got an ultralight. It's only 6 feet long, 4-pound nanofill and a little size 10 Abu Garcia Aura reel. It stays in my truck most of the time. This little rod does. It's 2-piece, and it's another perfect little bobo, guys. And it's a great opportunity to bring kids out and have them catch a whole bunch of fish up here in the park, or just do some simplistic angling while you're elk hunting. On this particular outing at State Forest State Park, our goal was to show you the simplicity of it. It was not to show you the exoticness or anything else. It was to show you, look, we can be right on the side of the road, right next to a campground, and we can catch fish one after the other. And that's exactly what we did. The way we're fishing this is about as easy as you could catch fish. I promise you that. There's one right there. There's a little bit better one, it feels like. Oh, that's fun. But you look at that little ultralight. Look how much bend this little trout puts in that ultralight. And so fantastic to be able to just catch them one after the other. He comes coming around right there. Beautiful little trout. And you can see the weed growth in here. Significant amount of weed growth in this pond that I'm noticing right off the bat. And I've never been here before, guys. This is the first time I've ever been here as well. So I'm learning it as we go, but I'm finding out that their trout are willing participants here. Come out of there. There you go, buddy. I had never fished Michigan Reservoir prior to that day, and so we used some basic fish finding knowledge that we always use on Fishful Thinker: inlets, outlets, boat ramps, and dams. Well, why did I fish right where we did? Because we started at the inlet. I looked at the dam, very deep, very steep. Now you got a lot of water column to deal with. I've got to figure out a depth range that my trout might be in. I also have narrower banks to work with in general, and I have less effective water. In other words, the water up against the bank, the littoral zone, where the fish live most of the time, is narrow when you talk about the dam. So we wrote the dam off right away. As soon as I got to the inlet, you could see fish dimpling. And so I grabbed out the ultralight trout rod and the very light nanofill, which incidentally, to these days, I would be doing the same thing. I would probably be doing it with a Fenwick Tech Elite rod these days in a light or ultralight power. It would for sure be a 6.5 to 7.5 footer. And it would for sure have like 6 or 8 pound nanofill, or maybe 8-pound X9 braid on it, and a very fast little Revo MGX reel on that would be the tackle I would take for the spinning rod. What we found with the spinning rod that day is the fish were very easy to catch, like too easy for me to even feel good about catching them. I could throw an inline spinner, a little Johnson minnow spin, wind it across the surface, and they would pounce all over it. We're starting off with the spinner strictly because it's very cold out here this morning. It's only 35 degrees when we got out of the truck. And I really just didn't feel like getting all wet. And the spinning rod's a good opportunity to make a bunch of presentations, cover some water, pick off some fish while they're real aggressive, and then we'll pick a spinning or a fly rod up and try some other stuff here shortly. So we're all about opportunity fishing here. Okay, we'll start over here. And you'll notice as I'm fishing in this area, I'm making casts spread out over a whole bunch of space. I'm not making 2 casts in a row to the same little area, and the reason I'm not is just so that the fish don't tune into what I'm doing so much. And I know with these being trout, they're probably moving around a bunch, and obviously there's tons of them here because they're rising all over the place. There we go. Early and often, guys, early and often. And so, you know, I mean, you look at how simple this is. If you're coming up to Colorado, and let's say you're gonna go elk hunting, this is a place that a lot of people come to elk hunt. And do you know why? Because there's a tremendous population of elk right here. Colorado leads the country in the number of elk. And easy, buddy. Keep them in the water for a minute. And I didn't bring a net today, guys, because we knew we were gonna catch a bunch of little fish. And so I didn't really see a need in having to net them. So we're gonna be real careful with everybody that we catch. See you, buddy. It became so easy that I was like, okay, we did a couple of those, then nope, wait, let's get the 3-weight out. And that's basically because I'm a big believer in fly fishing and spin fishing. I love both of the techniques, and I like to use whichever one is more appropriate for the job. So had the wind been blowing or something like that, I might have stuck with the spinning rod. But when you get a calm, beautiful morning like that and a bunch of smallish but very willing trout, it's really hard to argue with a 3-weight fly rod and a long skinny leader and a little tiny wet fly right under the surface. Oh, there we go. go, guys. So we got getting rolling on the little 3-weight. We got a little tiny little trout right here, and this is exactly why we brought the 3-weight out here, guys, because when it comes to trout this size, I don't need a great big rod, and I've got them on a little tiny soft tackle wet fly right here, and we'll get this off of here real quick. But the funny thing is Parks and Wildlife stocks these in here by the jillions, and they grow real quick, and they're meant to be tackled by a lot of different people. You know, they're meant to be a put and take kind of fish, and they're just, you know, it's really a good opportunity for all kinds of people in different skill levels to catch a lot of different fish. And that's one thing that we're capitalizing on here, is you can catch them in different ways, and that's a key thing, and it makes it fun. As soon as I got that thing out, it became a straight up giggle fest, and I mean, the fish just chowed it, and I can't even tell you exactly what flies we threw. I threw flies until the feathers were falling off them, then I tied another fly on and kept throwing them. Mostly we were throwing a little, like a size 16 soft tackle, little partridge soft tackle fly, a very nondescript, buggy looking little fly, because I wasn't matching anything. It was just giving them something edible to eat, and every single time I'd see a little riser pop on the surface, if I got that fly somewhere in the vicinity of him in a hurry and stripped it a couple of times, they would eat it over and over and over again. I can tell you what, dude, it's always fun to fish in a place where you're gonna get tons of bites, and so far this morning we've been fishing for about 20 minutes and we have caught a bunch of fish. Now this is a good size one right here, guys. Putting pretty good bend in that 3-weight. And he's still throwing that little soft tackle wet fly. I'm not trying to outthink this. Just something that looks more or less realistic and moves along just under the surface where these fish are feeding. As you can see, the water's only not even knee deep anyway, so I don't need any dab. That's a good size one there, guys. He's putting a good pull on here. Oh man, that's fun right there, guys. That's fun. It's a little 3-weight rod, and I've got a 7.5 foot 5X leader on here. I didn't even tie a piece of tippet on it. I just tied straight to the end of the tapered leader. And there he goes. Come on up here, buddy. Come on around here. Come on around over here. Come on over here. There you go. Come on around over here. We don't want you in all my line here. Come on around right there. Beautiful fish. Beautiful, beautiful fish. I can tell you this, if you're a new fly fisherman, particularly, that's a scenario you want to go to, because you're going to get an opportunity to practice your accuracy throwing to fish you can see on the surface. You're all going to get a chance to practice your line control and retrieves, and also your hook setting and fish fighting, because I don't know how many fish made that show, but it was a lot. But I can tell you that twice as many were caught than what actually made that show, and we only fished at the mouth of the lake for probably an hour and a half. Oh, still water like this. I try to watch for fish. I just saw that one rise and threw the little wet fly over there and got him just like that. Sometimes it almost feels like cheating, but I can tell you what, it makes up for all those times the fish are actually hard to catch. It's kind of funny. But you know, like I've said already, I think this morning, elk season starts 2 days from now. I mean, literally we're here on a Thursday and elk season starts Saturday morning. Come here, little guy. And there's going to be a bunch of bow hunters cruising around in here looking for elk. But you know, the funny thing is, if you're coming from out of state to look for elk, and a very high percentage of you are going to come from out of state to look for elk here in Colorado, keep in mind that your out of state tag comes with a fishing license that's valid during the time you're elk hunting. Got him. As long as you put it near a riser, you're going to get a bite. And then the question only becomes, can you execute? Oh man, that's fun right here, guys. And these are little rainbow trout. Colorado's famous for these. We go through lots and lots and lots of these out of our hatchery system every year. They stock them pretty much all over the state. If it can hold trout at some point in the year, they stock them. Colorado Parks and Wildlife does a great job of stocking those guys. But one thing that Colorado has is a very high percentage of places that you can go catch trout. And I recommend you do it because you can laugh. You know, people in the South, they've got panfish. They can go catch bluegills and stuff like that. Well, we may not have the best bluegill fisheries in the country, but we've got some fantastic trout fisheries, whether they're little tiny stalker rainbows like these. There you go, buddy. or great big, you know, more wild fish or whatever. But I want to point out also, guys, that the access here in State Forest State Park can be as diverse as you want it to be. You want to hike 8 miles into the Raywald Wilderness? Fine, you can do that and catch cutthroats this big. If you want to park your truck right there and walk out here in the middle of the lake and catch these, you can do that as well.